Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Tuesday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your Tuesday update on the live stream. And feels like I'm telling you the same thing over and over again, but it is cold once again, and wind chill's already dropping to about 5 to 15 degrees below zero for tonight. Not really improving much compared to where we have been the last several days, but certainly not as low as they were on Friday morning or on Saturday morning. So I suppose there's at least a little bit of progress, but tonight we don't have any cold weather advisories in place. Currently expecting us to get through the next couple of days probably without them, but I do think there's a day later this week that we will at least keep a close eye on for that. I think Friday could be a day that we'll have to at least watch for schools. I don't necessarily think it's a guarantee that we see any issues with schools, but I think it's at least on the radar for now, and we'll kind of see where things go. But one thing that I did find interesting for today, nice to see Wendy and Stacy on the stream for tonight. One thing that I did find interesting as far as weather with all of this cold is we're building up ice to about 44% now. And with our weather, that's going to be pretty chilly the next several days, is we're not really seeing any change in this, I would say, for a while. I think that percentage could go up quite a bit. Lake Michigan is still pretty open, and Lake Superior and Lake Ontario are pretty open as well. But Lake Erie is nearly completely ice covered at this point, and so I don't think you'll see much lake effect snow coming off Lake Erie until we see a significant warm up and we get rid of a lot of that ice. And so theoretically, if we don't see a big change towards the end of February, we could be looking at a shutdown of lake effect snow off of Lake Erie for the rest of the season, or at least the rest of the winter, I should say, which runs through February 28th. I don't know, is this year a leap year? Haven't even looked. Let me see. Nope, it is not a leap year. That would be 2028, I'm guessing. But yeah, it goes through February 28th. It's a very good possibility Lake Erie does not see any more lake effect snow, barring a significant warm up for the rest of the winter season. Now, always can get some spring cold air, can get some lake effect off there, but that is one thing that's been, I would say, a little bit nice out of this cold stretch, is for those who have been really hoping for a good lake ice year. It seems to be heading that way. Obviously, we always tell you to be careful, but seems like things are in pretty good shape for now. Now, your low temperatures for tonight will be near and below zero. We're usually around 15 below. 15, not 15 below. We're usually around 15. So instead of being there, we're near zero or a little bit below tonight. And then tomorrow, we've got another stretch of teens for high temperatures, and I don't really see that changing this week. The bright side to that, we got to look on the bright side of anything, is the fact that each day should be very similar. So you should be able to plan accordingly, but doesn't make it any less fun or any less bearable, I should say. And so I'm kind of running out of ways to tell you it's going to be cold as well. So I do think there is some light at the end of the tunnel. I do think we have a chance at some 20s towards the end of the week, but those aren't going to be here for a while. So let's get right to the wind chills. Good evening to Shelley, and good evening to Denise and Sherry as well. Some of the reliable streamers. But later tonight, I think we drop down to about 5 to 15 degrees below zero. Going into the afternoon, I think things do get a little bit better. I think we climb near zero or a little bit below. And then we just drop right back down again Thursday morning. And I think on Thursday morning, we'll have a chance to be probably a little bit worse off than we were Wednesday morning, in the sense that I think there will be a few more areas that are probably closer to about 10 to 15 below rather than 5 to 15 below. And then Thursday afternoon, seems like we get up into positive territory going into the second half of the day. And then Friday is the day that I think we need to watch. Friday could be a day where we're back down into that 10 to 20 degree range below zero. And potentially there could be some spots that are pushing about 25. So if there is a day, good evening to see, good to see you, Zoe. If there is a day that I think could be a little bit worse and a day that we could see a cold weather advisory come back into the picture. I think it's possible we see that on Friday. So if any parents are on the live stream with us for tonight, I would expect at least think of backup options just in case on Friday. But I do think that if for some reason Friday we have those wind chills and schools are making decisions, there is the possibility that maybe it could be more of a delay scenario rather than a closing. But from what I've been told, delay scenarios cause all sorts of headaches as well. So neither is really a good option. As far as just keeping things going, obviously it's a good option if things are dangerously cold. But there's obviously pros and cons to both. So if you're a parent on Friday, at least think in the back of your mind, what am I going to do if PTO is running low, or if you need to make alternate arrangements for that. I think that could be the day this week that causes a little bit of trouble. But during the afternoon, it doesn't go out that far. We get back into about 0 to 10 below. So I think it really depends on what the district's policy is. Is it just the morning that factors into the decision? Is it the afternoon? A lot of people have been telling me that it's mostly just the morning for their district. I've heard it both ways. I've heard both times of day matter. And here in mid-Michigan, we don't have a ton of walking school districts. That doesn't mean we don't have any, but we have more bus routes than walking districts. And so, if it's more of a borderline day, if we're not seeing as many of those values below 20, are we going to see more schools in session on this Friday compared to last, and with some improvement during the day? I think that's a fair question. I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong answer. I know those making the decisions are doing the best they can, especially with days kind of running thin here with the winter we've had. So we'll see kind of where things go. Craig, good to see you. Gelbert asks, how are the winds going to affect the wind chills? Well, we've got some gusts that are probably going to be near 20 and 25 tomorrow. Let's see where some gusts are going the next couple of days. Let me pull up our wind model here. It's running away from me. But here's your gust for tomorrow. Really not bad. It's just the fact that it's cold. Once you get in the teens, it really doesn't take much to really bring those down. Seems like we died down a bit Wednesday night. Going into Thursday, really not terribly strong. Seems like our gusts are closer to about 10 to 15, which would be a very welcome break. And that's probably why we're seeing wind chills in positive territory on Thursday afternoon. And then it doesn't seem like Friday's all that bad either. Maybe about 15 to 20 for the gusts. So it's not all bad news with the wind. We might be past the worst wind of the week today. So some of that snow is probably blowing around a little bit. I know I ran into some drifting myself today. Not a ton, but a little bit here and there. Snow showers, looking at the sky tracker tonight, really not terribly exciting. We're finally getting a break from some of the lake effect snow too. Seems like we've still got some flurries ongoing or light snow to our north. Still got some lake effect going off to our south as well. Let me see if I can pull up maybe some of those Great Lakes ice graphs in our last few minutes here. Since really that kind of does it, let me pull up the 7-day while I get some of that. You can see the cold temperatures right through the end of the weekend and early next week. We might be able to climb into the 20s, which would probably feel pretty nice compared to where we have been. So let me pull this up. And this is the Great Lakes ice coverage, if you can see that well. The black line is our current year, and the red line is the historical average for Great Lakes ice cover, which goes back to about the 1970s. It looks like this graph here is all the way back to 1973. So the black line that you're seeing here is our current year compared to the red line, which is average. But all these other blue lines that you see, these are every other year that we've had. And so we're kind of right in the middle here. I would say we're probably doing if you look just straight up from this date, we're actually having one of our better paces that we've had in history, just because there's not many lines directly above this. We have certainly had better years, but I would say this is probably in the top quarter, at least. It's tough to tell for sure. But as far as this date in January, seems like we're in the top quarter. And compared to just a couple of years ago, if I pull up 2024, that was a brutal winter. And this was actually when we had historical lows going into February, some of the worst ice coverage we had ever had in the month of February. And so this year has been pretty nice for those hoping for some good ice. Last year was kind of in the middle. We had some ups and downs. We weren't quite as good in January, but we did have a peak in February before we moved into the spring. But it was very short, as you can see. It was only, I would say this is probably about a week at most right there that we were above average. The rest of the time, we were significantly below average from that point forward. So it hasn't been the best in recent history for winter recreation. Let me see, 2023. 2023 was well below. And then let's kind of just see how many bad years we had in a row. 2022, I remember 2022 was quite up and down. Now that I look at that graph, I can remember that. It was like we had plenty of ice, but we just couldn't keep it for a long period of time. 2021 was mostly a bad year. And then 2020 was a pretty bad year too, in multiple ways. And then 2019 was really good. 2019, we had ice well into March that was above average, and even some hints into April that were above average as well. So that's kind of where things stand with the ice coverage. Just something a little bit different to tell everybody for tonight. But yeah, weather, I think you're probably as sick of it as I am. There's nothing terribly exciting. I don't see any big snowstorms in the forecast anytime soon, but no big warm-ups either. But also, I think we do get a little bit better towards the weekend and early next week. So I'm cool if we can just get back to the 20s. I will take that. Anything also to get rid of some of the slop that's around. I absolutely can't stand when it gets slushy and everything is just full of slop. So I'm ready for that part to be over. It's not, honestly, the cold isn't even bothering me as much as some of the slush that has been building up around the area, slush and salt and all sorts of those things. So I hope everyone has a great night. We will do this, of course, again tomorrow and throughout the week, and hopefully some new developments when it comes to maybe at least getting temps back close to average early next week, and any other precipitation that comes along with it. So have a good night, and we will see you later this week.